Tell us exactly how to do that is Vice President of Public Engagement, Ms. Andrea Gunraj. Ma'am, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the recent survey on Canadian confidence levels in helping victims of gender-based violence. What would you say are the main takeaways?
Well, we know that it's pretty low. We know a lot of people know somebody who's experienced this form of violence. It's things like intimate partner abuse and gender-based violence, like sexual violence and emotional abuse and physical assault, particularly in relationships and things that happen behind closed doors. But people don't necessarily feel very confident that they would know how to be a supportive person if somebody came to them and needed help. And they wouldn't know necessarily how to do that in a way that's non-judgmental. So we have some work to do to make sure that people's competency and confidence is built up to be able to address it.
Now, let's start with recognizing the signs of abuse. Now, when it comes to emotional or sexual abuse, this can be very intimate and even hard to recognize. So what are the telltale signs of this particular type of abuse, ma'am?
Well, this abuse, first of all, is very, very common. We know that sexual assault and emotional abuse are so common that more than 50% of people say that they experience it, particularly women and gender diverse people experience it in their lifetimes. Girls experience it, boys experience it as well too, people who are younger. So it's not really clear that there's particular forms of signs that you can see that somebody's experiencing this violence. Same thing with physical abuse, particularly intimate partner abuse. It's not really that there's any one way that it's going to come out. What I think is important for us to remember is we have friends and family who might come to us saying that they have experienced something, or we might find that they are feeling withdrawn, or we're not sure that they're okay. We just have this feeling that something is wrong. What I think is most important, rather than recognizing any particular signs of abuse, is being an open-minded, kind, and generous person in a proactive way. Telling your family and friends, I will listen to you, I will respond to you, I won't judge you. That is most powerful than recognizing any particular forms of violence, so that you know when they're ready to come to you to speak about this often hidden and taboo form of violence, that they know that you will listen and you will support them.
All right, ma'am. So once you recognize that someone is being emotionally or sexually abused, what are some realistic steps someone can take to help them?
Most important of all is allowing the person who's going through that violence to take the lead. You ask them, how can I support you right now? Maybe they'll just want you to listen and be a kind and non-judgmental person. That is so powerful. You can do that. Maybe they'll ask you, what are the services and supports that I can go to? Do you know the places that people can go to address this violence? Usually there might be one or two services in your area that specialize in that. Know that. Maybe they'll ask you to call authorities. That might be possible. Be ready to do that and be alongside that person. Leaving a violent situation, especially if it's an active, ongoing violent situation, it can take years. It can be so difficult. So being just a patient person along the way and letting the person who's going through that violence take the lead, I cannot stress how powerful that is. And I think we can do it, but we have to build up our own competency and competency in this. And we also have to be ready to take those difficult steps and just manage our own emotions along the way, get the support we need along the way so that we can be that strong person and that kind person that a survivor would need.
And on that note of addressing your own personal safety and needs, what steps can you take when addressing physical abuse? Because especially when we touch on physical abuse, you might be endangering your own safety.
Well, certainly not doing anything that will endanger yourself. I think, again, letting the person who's going through the violence take the lead so that they'll tell you, this is not a safe time to talk, or this is a safer time to talk. Let them be that person because they know they're the expert of what they're going through right there. And I think it's important for you to know those services and supports that you can call. There are crisis lines that if you are experiencing that secondary trauma when you're supporting somebody else, you can give them a call and say, listen, I'm going through this hard time because I'm so sad my friend is going through this or my family member is going through this. Give me some tips. Those folks can help you. In Canada, women's shelters are incredible resources, and you don't have to stay at the shelter to access those resources. You can call them and say, this is happening to somebody that I know, or this is happening to me. Or what are some things that you would give me advice on? Where can I go next? What should I be thinking of? And they can support you in a proactive way so that maybe later on when you're ready to take the steps you can. That's all just about reaching out and making sure that you are managing your own safety and your own support along the way. You deserve that just as much as anybody else. And we can do that for a friend and family member. We just have to be willing and we have to be ready to be that non judgmental person in somebody's life.